Hello and welcome to the Night Shift. I'm your host, Jiao Xuan. Our mountaineering club just returned from their second expedition up Mount SUTD. Here's Jing Kai with the full story.
What's up everybody and welcome back to the Night Shift. I'm your host today, Jing Kai, and this is episode 10. Before we begin, let's try doing this in an unconventional way. For the introductions, how about y'all introduce each other and give 3 fun facts about each other to our viewers here today?
This is Taylor. Taylor is a PhD student from Colorado. Fun fact is that she is currently doing research on material science, in particular carbon capture from non-point sources. So very cool, very important work. Climbed over 22 unique peaks in the Colorado Rockies above 4,400 meters. So a lot. Grew up at altitude. She's cool.
Damn, 22 peaks.
You did well. This is Kian. He's third term. To be honest with you, as a grad student, I don't really know what terms mean. Is that like sophomore equivalent?
No, kind of.
Regardless, term 3. And he is the Mountaineering Club president. 3 fun facts are that he enjoys cooking, also mixing cocktails, and runs a home bar, sometimes open to the public.
A home bar?
Yeah. His favorite band is The Strokes. And he is the youngest of 3 siblings.
The reason why we have them here today is because they and their team recently just scaled Mount SUTD. So for our viewers that do not know what Mount SUTD is, it is a mountain that is actually named after SUTD because we are able to climb that mountain and we are the first to climb that mountain. Is that right? Yeah, so that's why we are given the opportunity to name our mountain, and we are actually the first university to name a mountain after ourselves. Am I right?
In Singapore?
In
Singapore!
In the world? No.
Not
In the world, no. But of course in Singapore. So I guess that's quite a huge honor as well, right?
Yeah, it was when 2014.
9 years ago.
Yeah, 2014. Yeah,
Pioneering
badge.
Mountaineering and also SUTD.
And at first they wanted to climb Everest, and then they were kind of talked down off of that. And instead, with our partners at Incredible Journeys, they identified an unnamed peak in India. And the way it works there is if you're the first to climb something that hasn't been climbed before, then you can get the naming rights to it. So that's how, we ended up naming the peak.
Yeah, I think for a while, some of the club members didn't really like the fact that we named the mountain. Because we didn't name the mountain, the Pioneering Batch did, because low-key colonizer energy. But after having been there and having spoken to the Indian Mountaineering Federation and the people that we climb with, I think okay lah. Because
at first we were like, okay, we'll see what the local people call it, and then maybe we'll petition to rename. Nobody calls it anything. Nobody goes there.
Nobody goes there.
Nobody
No,
goes there.
literally, the nearest village
the
is
middle of nowhere.
tens and tens of kilometers away because it's in a desert valley. And then even after, literally nobody sees it ever. You have to walk, we traveled 10 days straight
10 days
just to see the
Just
mountain.
to get to the mountain.
Just to see the
I don't
mountain.
think anybody's been there since 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So we were literally the only ones to go there for a very long period of time.
So it's quite crazy because you realize that we are the second group in quite possibly maybe the history of the world to set eyes on that one particular spot on this planet. And the naming part is quite okay because it goes through Mountaineering Federation and then state, so Himachal Pradesh, and the Indian government as well has to approve it. So there's a lot of levels.
So theoretically, pretty soon, since we repeated the ascent, you should be able to, after all the paperwork is done, zoom in on that part of India on Google Maps and be able to see the peak and the name.
Then again, how was the preparation, training preparation wise?
Well, I'm vice president of training, so it was my responsibility to get everybody into shape.
Okay.
But then, conveniently, the vast majority, I think all but me and one other guy on the Mount SUTD team, just were abroad.
Yeah.
On exchange or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So
it was really difficult to make sure that everybody was up to speed because we're coming in with different technical competencies as well.
Correct.
So we enforced the baseline in terms of technicality. You have to have had alpine mountaineering experience, be familiar with equipment in terms of ice axe, crampons, whatnot. Physicality has to be at a certain degree also. So minimum cardio, time requirements for X run or X climb sort of thing.
we ran a basic alpine mountaineering course, but for those who couldn't attend, there were some people that were in Europe. They had to supplement. So one of them did some sort of package in the Alps, and then two others went to Mount Whitney and also took, in the US, and took some training courses so we didn't like, show up and nobody knows what the hell is going on. We wanted to make sure that everybody on the team had like a certain level of competence so we did not die.
Since you all say you all need to like have ice rigs also, right? So that means you all probably had to like train because Singapore there's no ice. So what was the closest thing that you all could get to like training?
So everybody went for a separate expedition prior to the Mount SUTD expedition.
Oh,
so
where did
for
you
us
go?
it was in May,
Yes.
right after term 2. So we went for 17 days, also in the India lower Himalayan range, just to be familiar with equipment and skills,
Okay.
and for
'Cause
exposure
you're-
to altitude.
Yeah, you're totally right. There's absolutely no way to train
Yeah,
for that kind
correct.
of thing.
No way, no way.
Like we can run
Right.
up and down Bukit Timah 100
Right,
times,
like-
but that's
But
not
you
going to
never-
prepare you for
Yeah,
snow.
yeah.
The other reason that we wanted to make sure everybody went on an expedition beforehand is because altitude, like even if you're really fit, sometimes it just kicks your and there's no way to know how your body will like adapt to it until you get there. So we wanted to make sure that people had some experience at altitude, so if anybody like really became ill
Okay.
with acute mountain sickness is what it's called, and like your brain swells, you're really uncomfortable, you're out of breath, you're nauseous, that kind of thing. That at least they knew it was coming.
What was the timeline like? So I know you all had the first expedition in May. Then when did the Mount SUTD expedition happen?
The very, very beginning of the timeline is 2 years ago.
We basically started the idea of some kind of tropical peak and then an
yeah.
intermediate peak as like a build up to the final expedition and like enforcing those milestones. Yeah.
So Taylor's batch made the May trip happen, which was our basic alpine course, and I and Kenneth, who's not here, on the team, attended the basic course in May, and then right after that, I started the administrative process for Mount SUTD. So a lot of like seeing OSL as well as our partner Incredible Journeys and getting the team up to speed. And we flew in
August.
End August
In August,
until mid-September.
right before school started.
Right? No, I missed like a bit of the first week of school.
Oh, you missed the
Yeah,
first
we
week.
landed
Yeah.
at the airport, we were at baggage claim. And one of the guys, I look over, his name's Ming Liang. I look, why you look so depressed, brother? And he's like, I have capstone in 3
Oh
hours.
my god. About how many people went for the trip?
7.
7 people. After you landed, what happened?
So we have a local partner, and our local partner has local partners. So our local partner is Edwin Siu. He's probably one of Singapore's most reputable and all respected mountaineers.
Coolest dude we know. Like,
Coolest
by
dude we
far.
know, and like just super
Same.
solid.
Okay.
And so because we are relatively unexperienced mountaineers, if we go ourselves, we'll die. And so when we got there, he flew with us there because Singaporean. And then an India partner picked us up. We went from bus to train to car to get off the car and skirt landslide through vegetation, get back out to car again.
Like, the thing with our India partner is like we didn't know where the landslides would be. We just knew that we would encounter them on the road. But like it didn't matter because between one landslide and the other, our local partner would like make a phone call and then cars would just appear to
Yeah.
pick us up. So like in between these 2 points, he just like knew a guy.
So we didn't know
And
how,
we'll call
right?
up.
So we didn't know how he was getting the cars, right?
Yeah.
So I asked him, I was like, how are you getting the cars? Then he's like, landslide, village. I call village, send car. Then, okay.
But it was like
Oh.
every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single time the car got progressively smaller. So first we started in like nice all-wheel drive cars, and then we just like tossed ourselves into the back of these minivans. And then we were in like these tiny sedans, and there was one point where it was like me, Kenneth, and Chris.
Yes.
And I'm like sitting in the footwell,
There's a video,
straddling like
damn
the
funny.
console in
God.
between the driver and the passenger,
Yeah,
right?
it's so
and we're like
uncomfortable.
bumping down the road. The guy's on the phone, like doesn't
Yeah.
give
It's an box because I look in front, right? And
Yeah.
every single light you can think of was on. The check engine light was on, the gas
light was on.
The gas was past
Oh my-
zero. The gas was legit
Gas was past zero.
There
Dude,
was like
and
it's
we
either the
stopped.
meter was broken or there's just no gas in the car.
We stopped a couple times, but never to get gas. There was one, he like gets out of the car, there's a kid on the side of the road, he goes, gives the kid a high five, gets back in the car and keeps going. I'm like, what happened?
What?
Quite fun, quite fun.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good.
That
It was
definitely
fun.
sounds exciting though.
It was fun.
Yeah.
That was crazy eh. Were you even expecting all those landslides to happen?
We were like briefed initially. There was a question like 3 days before the trip whether OSL was gonna like cancel it at the last moment because there were pretty devastating landslides in the area. And we saw a lot of the destruction. It was really kind of tragic and gnarly. But luckily the whole time we were there, the weather was great. And so there were a couple places where we had to shoulder our big bags and like walk through the woods randomly to go around the landslides, which we were like emotionally prepared for beforehand because that was pretty tiring. Yeah, otherwise we knew any problems would probably be driving there.
Driving
Not
there,
the
getting
mountaineering
there.
part.
Okay, so how did the walk up feel like? What did you see along the way? Were there any interesting things that happened?
We went off grid, so to speak,
Yeah.
after the last town, which was Manali. So from Kulu Valley turning to Spiti Valley. Spiti Valley is like a desert valley, so there's not many people living there. It's primarily like sheep herders
And like balding white men on motorcycles.
yeah, and like people doing motorcycle tours. And then there's no reception. So from then on, it was off grid camping. That was 2 days on the car just to get to the last road access, and it was camping all the way. And then afterwards, we met up with some horsemen, and we loaded our big fat duffels onto the horses, and then carried our bags and walked. And then it
Luckily,
was another
our personal bags weren't so heavy because
Yeah.
we were able to utilize the donkeys.
at least a week until we
Yeah.
saw the mountain.
First thing we had to do was river crossing, and we have these like very intense looking videos where we're all like
Yeah.
shuffling across the river, right? And it looks like really strenuous.
River crossing sounds like.
And then like one of the local guys just walks
Yeah.
across
Just
the
walks
frame,
across.
just
Yeah,
walks
yeah.
across the frame like he's walking down the road.
I think mainly
Yeah.
it wasn't like tough or like that scary. It was just damn cold because it's
Yeah.
glacial runoff. So it's like literally like just above freezing probably. Yeah.
Didn't you have heat packs for those kind of situations?
It's in the underwater,
No.
your feet. You had heat packs.
Wrong.
We spent 3 nights at our base camp, and those were like some of our, I think, best memories from the trip. Is the days when you were like at base camp, we're like acclimatizing,
Yeah.
so we're letting our body produce more red blood cells to carry oxygen more efficiently as we go up in altitude. You can't go up too fast, so we just got to like sit around and play cards, and it was a good time. Everybody in the group like really got along, and we all have the same like disturbed sense of humor, so it was just like it was a good time.
So how did the donkeys cross the river?
They just crossed.
They just crossed.
They just walk.
Because it was only up until like right before knee, so they were still okay. They just crossed.
They're still okay.
They only can't go when it's alpine conditions, so like snow and ice, they can't do.
Oh.
So at that point, then we become the donkeys.
So say now, how heavy were your bags?
Not that bad, I think at
don't
worst, with tents and gear and ropes and everything, 20 plus maybe. But it wasn't the weight so much as it was the altitude, I think. Because the air is so much thinner. Taylor was definitely the best at altitude. I don't know if it's because she's had the most exposure or that she grew up at altitude. Like Colorado is 1.6k. So some of us got pretty bad altitude sickness and had to spend some
Like
more
we
time
put the oxygen
acclimatizing.
meter on your finger,
On
and
mine,
it read like
yeah,
what?
30 something.
30.
So
Normally it's
SPO2
like 80 plus.
Yeah, correct.
No, normally at sea level it's like 98 or like 100. And anything below 90 you'll get like hospitalized at sea level. But at altitude it's normal to have a
normal to
lower SPO2. Not like
Yeah.
30. So I think the
He felt
first
terrible
day,
though. Like
yeah.
I thought he was on his deathbed.
Oh,
For like the first half a day
yeah.
at base camp, which was 4.7, 4.8. I think when we just got there, I was damn out of it. I was like,
You're like, Sam.
Like
God.
confused.
Yeah.
Like I felt like he didn't know where he was or what his name was.
I definitely knew my name lah. Come on.
I was concerned for you.
Then
Wait, then how do you feel? You were like, or were you like,
no, I had like a split.
Gone.
The whole walk up, right?
yeah.
I had a splitting headache, damn bad nausea. I didn't eat anything the whole day. Wasn't really drinking well. I had like the tiniest nibble of a chocolate snack, and then that was it.
We gave him like a pack of electrolyte, like the powder you're supposed to put in your water. And instead of putting it in his water, he was just like dry eating it out of the tube.
Like Pocari sweat kind of.
Yeah,
This guy,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
my yes. And that's, that sounds exactly like NS.
Yeah. No, then I saw then she set up a tent for me because I couldn't even. I was just like I was sitting there like this. There's some photo of me like did.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Then I put the meter on. Then I said 32. Then in my like half delirious state of mind, I was like, oh. Then I started really like packing my lungs like as full as he would go. And then after that I emerged healthy. And Taylor was like,
Yeah, he came out of the tent and I was like, oh my god, yes!
Okay, but how close were you to the summit at this point when you were feeling
Quite
damn
far.
far, damn
It's
far.
damn
Quite
far
far,
away.
yeah.
Damn
So we
far.
spent 3 nights at base camp.
Yeah.
Then we pushed up to advanced base camp. Spent 2
Okay.
nights there. Following advanced base camp, we went up the glacier to Camp 1. We were supposed to spend, I think, only 2 nights at Camp 1, but we ended up spending 3. And we wanted to have a high camp as well, summit camp, and that's where we would do the summit day from. But snow blew in. So with the help of our partner at Incredible Journeys, Edwin, we basically made the decision to just basically forego the summit camp. And instead we were going to move from Camp 1 on summit day, which meant most likely 16-hour day from Camp 1, wake up at midnight, leave camp at 1 a.m., go to the summit, and then be back at Camp 1 probably around 3 or 4, which is pretty much
exactly
what happened. We summited.
We got back at 4.
Yeah, we summited at about
9.
9:30.
So those were what you did on the days when you were like just resting at the base camp, I presume?
Sometimes we practice like rope skills. Like
Yeah.
we go over, rappelling, because on the mountain we used fixed lines, so we had to use our ascenders to go off the fixed lines, use belay devices to rappel down or abseil down
So
the
you're
fixed
just
lines.
practicing for like what potential cases might happen.
Yeah, just like skills refreshers, aligning the team in terms of goals and priorities, making sure everyone knows the top priority is always that we get down safely. Like, summiting is optional, but getting down the mountain safely is mandatory.
One of the things we wanted to make sure everybody understood was like, the summit is not the end destination, that's only the halfway point. You still have to have the energy to get yourself down.
Yeah.
And in some ways that's
Because
like,
it's only half the journey up.
Yeah.
Then the
Yeah.
other half is coming down.
yeah. And coming down, at least in my opinion, is so much worse.
No, it's so much better.
No.
It's so much better
I
because you're
got
not
old
breathing as
knees,
hard.
Okay, why is it worse?
It hurts my bones. Also, that's when I got a sunburn, right? Because we were climbing in the dark, and then the sun came out, reflects off the snow, and I got that like ninja mask sunburn.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was fine.
When you're coming down, were you okay, Di?
Yeah. I mean, I think most of us thought that the descending was easier because you're not out of breath, the same way that you are on the ascent.
It was a little bit scary though, because a lot of the mountain is covered in like these shale plates that just like slide right off of each
Yeah.
other. And in some places it's really narrow, so you're like coming down with all your body weight momentum and like your pack and stuff. And then the shale is just like slipping every way, and on one side is certain death, and the other side is like probable death. So I was like a little bit spooked at that point. Like,
But then I'm curious, how did the whole team feel once you reached the top of the summit?
Share.
I think if you asked like anybody on the team to describe it in one word,
Yeah.
like can you imagine Ivan or Chris right now, like shaga, like that's what they'd
Yeah.
say
Shaga.
for sure. Pretty
What was
cool.
the scene like when you reached the top? Was it like a sunrise view or was
Yeah, it
it
was
like
actually
It was
pretty majestic.
actually thereabout. 'Cause
Sunrise.
Not quite sunrise. I think the sun rose
Just a little bit after.
when we were on a little like saddle point right before the true summit push. But damn cool because we started in the dark, right? So it's just like horribly bitter cold. Really damn cool. Like I poured boiling water into my water bag. 10-15 minutes later, I tried to drink. Bye. One piece of ice come out.
oh
Me also, I had like Snickers bar in my pocket. It was time for a snack, frozen solid. Okay, try something else. Block of cheese, frozen
Yeah.
solid.
Oh my
Then the
God.
GoPro, the day we had the least footage of, or almost no footage of, was the summit push. Because the GoPro died instantly. Like I put it on I mounted it to my helmet.
Yeah.
So I tried to record. Then nothing. Then somebody checked for me. Bryan, I think dies, yeah. Then oh.
Oh no.
Yeah,
then
because
there's
it was too
yeah.
cold, so it just bricked.
But there was a nice moment. We had to like traverse this rock pillar, and right when we came around, like the sunrise had just started like spilling over.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of it was like
hour.
purple and orange, and the mountains, because they're a little bit icy, they like reflected those colors in the sky, and that was like a very majestic.
No, it's
moment.
damn beautiful. Because at night you get the most unparalleled
Yeah, you can
view
see the
of
Milky
the
Way.
Milky Way. Because there's no light for like
There's no light pollution.
in like a 50-kilometer radius, there's literally no light source. And so you just have the most pristine view of the Milky Way, and then you have sort of from the moonlight you get a vague sensing of the glacial basin and the ridgeline and the surrounding mountains, and just the absolute beauty of the Himalayas.
God.
So you see that, right? Yeah, kind of wow, I think this would be quite nice.
Damn.
And then the sun kind of, you see the sky begin to brighten, and
Yeah.
the moment it hits past that range of mountains, and it hits you, and you start getting a bit warmer, and your fingers can like
Can like
feel
thaw a little
again.
bit. Yeah, you can feel your fingers again.
And then you're like, wow.
You can also see like the shadow of the mountain you're climbing stretched out in front of you. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That's pretty.
So I think that was a
It was a good moment.
it was a damn sick view. I think
In some ways,
quite
I think
unparalleled.
also the summit was a bit like anticlimactic because we don't go all the way to the summit, because a lot of the different places in the Himalaya believe like the summit is sort of a sacred place that's not meant for us to go. Like that's where the earth and the heavens connect with one another, and to respect that, we didn't want to tread on it.
Correct.
So we went just below the summit.
Like 10 meters below me.
Yeah.
Summit
So it was
is
like
reserved for the gods.
it was 15, 20 days to get to this seemingly kind of random point on the face of this mountain, like just below the summit. I mean, part of me like would like to just like crest the ridge and see into the next valley, but also, showing that courtesy and that respect for
Yeah.
the local landscape that we're a guest at
Yeah.
is so much more important.
That must have been a crazy experience though. I
Quite.
wanted to see
We spent
this.
quite a long time
Yeah.
up there actually, maybe like 20 minutes, half an hour.
About there, maybe.
Yeah.
About there.
Just to take in the view, enjoy a bit before going
Yeah,
down.
but then the weather was starting to roll in and we're getting a bit worried. So
Yeah.
we hiked it up.
Wait, so how do you drink? How do you hydrate yourselves?
Thermal
Water bag.
flasks, but mine was like probably 600 milliliters. So most of us were quite dehydrated lah, probably.
So you all probably have to like boil water at the base camp.
Yeah, we boiled.
So where do you get the water from?
Snow ah.
Snow. Just it's fresh.
There are snows and there are like maybe like a few small streams you can get from glacial
We'd either
runoff.
pump with an expedition pump the water, or we had a very compassionate and wonderful kitchen crew that would boil the water for us and it'd be prepared. Yeah.
Wait, but the snow one, you all literally just go to the floor, take the snow, throw, boil, drink. Oh,
I mean, look for the clean snow lah.
look for the clean snow.
Nobody
Make
goes
sure it's
up
not
there
yellow.
though, so it's all pretty nice.
I would have not imagined myself doing that though. That'd be kind of insane. Then after that, the downward part was more relaxed, I would say.
Yeah, we
Right?
abseiled off the summit
Yeah.
cone,
Yeah.
just hiked down. And then the next day, we went all the way from Camp 1 to our advanced base camp, ate lunch, and then continued down to base camp. So the
Also,
process
it was
that
a lot
took,
faster. You all didn't have to like wait,
Right.
Yeah,
stay a
because there's
few
no
days.
acclimatization on the
Yeah, it
down.
doesn't matter
Actually,
anymore.
as the faster you go down, the better, because your body will just like
You just
feel
freeze
a lot
itself.
better. So.
but up at the high camps, because it's difficult to like get all of the resources that deep into the mountains, we were eating like very simply, like dal and rice usually for everything. And then we got to advanced base camp and they made us like Alfredo pasta and pizza and there was watermelon and like all this stuff
Yeah.
and I almost cried.
Yeah, actually, it was
so
crazy.
good.
And the
my
best
God.
momos of my life.
Oh my god.
My
The second
goodness.
time I almost cried was first shower after expedition.
Oh.
It was 14 days without shower.
Yeah.
We were so greasy. It was disgusting.
I presume you all wouldn't have
Amazing.
sweat, right? Because it was so
Oh,
cold.
we
we
still
definitely
sweat.
sweat. We're stinky,
Because
dude.
yeah, we were damn stinky.
We're really
dude.
stinky.
Because it was high exertion also ma. So typically you will try to layer down such that you don't sweat as much. Because if you sweat and the moment you stop, you'll like quite literally freeze, but you will still sweat lah.
What kind of food do you all eat up at the top there in the mountains?
For
We
the
had
most part,
a-
it was like very fantastic and varied. There were
Yeah.
only like a couple days when we ate like super modestly, just like rice and dal.
We had a very, very supportive kitchen crew. So our expedition was an expedition style assault of the mountain. It wasn't an alpine style. So the difference is that with an alpine style, it's just like maybe you and a climbing buddy, and that's all. Then you go and climb the mountain.
Okay.
With an expedition style that's a lot more prolonged, you don't really have that option of climbing or that method of climbing open to you, because you can't carry that much resources on your back. And so we had our horsemen, we had kitchen crew, and we had a couple of local guides as well with us on the trip.
So the kitchen crew guys follow you up the mountain.
Yeah.
And they cook for you at every.
Pretty much, yeah.
We actually expected to like be eating like instant noodles, MRE, that kind
Yeah.
of thing, preparing for ourselves at the high
Yeah.
camp. But the kitchen crew just like wanted to come with.
Yeah.
Hotel.
They
Yeah.
were like, oh, this mountain.
Honestly, they could hike
Yeah.
circles around us. Like,
Yeah.
like they could have
It's
gone
crazy.
and climbed the
It
mountains
was
like
actually
in their
crazy.
tennis shoes.
Because
Yeah.
they're so used to altitude, they live at altitude. So for them, they're just super used to the lack of oxygen, and they wanted to see the mountain. They were like, "Oh, mountain, cool, huh?" Then,
Yeah, they were super
Oh my God.
enthusiastic.
then
They
they
like
just
climbed
all
up the
wanted to
ridge.
come. Then they were like messing around. They were
Yeah.
like, we were literally dying, right? They were messing around. They were putting stones in each other's backs.
Yeah.
So the head chef was this like super nice and cute old,
Yeah.
middle-aged
Adorable.
Nepali Tibetan man. And the kitchen boys were putting rocks in his bags, and every time they stopped, he got to the highest camp, and then he thought back, then he saw
so
all
heavy.
the rocks inside. Then he was like,
What the?
damn funny.
They made us a cake, dude.
Yeah.
Cake?
It's crazy.
It's like this tiny little
Crazy.
kitchen tent, and entire
Yeah.
cakes and pizzas just like materialize inside and come out. It was crazy.
And all they have is like literally a stove, so there's no oven. So I'm like, how are you making pizzas?
Yeah.
There's no oven. But it was legit crazy. Honestly, massive shout out to our local partners, because we wouldn't have made it otherwise. Like there's no shot. And I think we also there's a part of commercial mountaineering that we very, very much dislike, in that a lot of like people will go and like use local guides and Sherpas to get them to whatever base camp or the summit or whatever. And in the pictures, you never see these local partners. You never see the guides. You never see the porters. You never see the horsemen that got them there. It's just them on the summit mountain. And so I think it was important for us also to recognize their contributions and their support of the team in our expedition. And so the first thing we did when we got down was get a team picture, full team, every
Okay.
single member was there. Every single name was there, and the first picture that went out on our Instagram was a recognition of the team, the full team.
And that's why we really like to partner with Incredible Journeys also, because Edwin runs a very ethical show. We wanted to make sure at the end, like we spent pretty much all of our rupees just like tipping,
tipping
all the
them.
Because they really deserve it.
Yeah,
And
they went above and beyond,
they went
and
so
that's just
far
a small
above
way
and
for us
beyond.
to show them that they're like all superheroes, man.
Truly the unsung heroes.
Yeah.
Take care of you all so much. Taylor, for yourself, how difficult was this compared to the others that you have done before?
I had a wonderful time on this expedition. It's the tallest peak that I've done. I've done the Everspace Camp Trek. So previously that had been the highest altitude that I had gone to. But that's like pretty cushy, honestly. Like you stay in tea houses and it's not as strenuous as this. So this I say would be my biggest ascent. And yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, I think I can do maybe like 20% harder and still be comfortable.
I think she could do some more.
You could have done more.
She has some more. Yeah, she's got something left for sure.
Yeah.
This was the highest, but was it the hardest?
Yeah, I would say so. Just in terms of like managing all the gear, there are certain things that you're not necessarily prepared for. On Summit Day you have, you know, your harness is digging into you and maybe your boots are a little bit too big so you're slipping around, and like the coil that you have to shoulder for safety purposes to cross the glacier, that kind of thing. Like that's all added weight that you don't necessarily prepare for. And so when like all that stuff is on you day of, you're like,
You have to like just suck it up and go.
Yeah.
So can you for yourself, what will be the next mountain that you want to climb?
There's no plan.
There's no plan yet.
The current plan for the club is Mount Rinjani next May.
Next
Other
May.
than that, we don't have any major alpine expeditions planned other than we'll run the alpine course again, also in May. There's no big plan.
but we also want to make sure that accessibility remains kind of like one of the core values in our club. So if you're not necessarily up for, you know, high altitude alpine mountaineering, because like, let's be honest, it's a bit intense.
It is.
We want to do tropical hikes, subalpine hikes, that kind of thing. So shout out to everybody who joined us on Mount Ophir. At the
Am I out of battery?
Is it all good?
Yeah, I believe it's all good.
I was just gonna say that mountaineering attracts like a very lighthearted, goofy, fun group of people, and so everyone that joined us for Ophir like fit right in with the dynamic, and we had a great time. And one of the things we always say is like training for mountaineering in Singapore sometimes kind of sucks, right?
Yeah.
If you have to run stairs, you have to run Bukit Timah, you know, you have to do whatever. But one of the reasons that we all like continue to train with the club is because the bond that the people have created is like quite heartwarming, and
Yeah.
that makes it fun.
I think it's just a damn nice contrast and a super big juxtaposition to regular school life and maybe in particular SUTD life. And I think the depth of human connection that you get on the mountains with no phone, no internet connections, just you and your buddies on the mountain, is damn good lah. I think people bonded a lot over here. The Mount SUTD team bonded a lot over the climb as well.
Yeah, it's nice to have those
Yeah.
successes together and to, you know, navigate challenges and obstacles and that kind of thing.
Yeah, which is why, like Taylor said, we're trying to push the club very much towards accessibility, and so moving from like tropical to subtropical, subalpine rather, to the alpine peaks if they want. Look out for mountaineering, guys.
Yeah, also everyone who came to Ophir, we love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe for those that are not in mountaineering, what are like one advice you would tell them? Perhaps if they want to try but they are quite afraid.
The easiest thing to do, just come for training and
Just
talk
go for
to
training.
literally any one of us, or just text any one of us.
But I would say like just try and you'll surprise yourself. I think a lot of the people that came for Ophir, granted we kind of catfished them saying like, oh, casual weekend hike, and then they got on the mountain and they're like, bro, this is difficult. But everybody, 24 people came and everybody made it to the top, and
Good.
it was really special to be at the top and see people, you know, coming up onto the summit platform, and like a couple people were like, yo, I'm just realizing that this is like the first mountain that I've ever climbed. And so I would say give it a try because you'll probably surprise yourself. You're definitely more capable than you think, and the Exco and the team is here to support you to make sure that you can make it to the top.
Before we end off, if you want some promotion for Mountaineering Club,
Yay! We train Monday, Wednesday, 7 o'clock in the evening to 8:30, and it's so fun.
It's
and you
so
get
fun.
so buff and make so many friends.
you can get buff like can you?
I
Maybe
don't know
some
about buff lah, but it's a good bunch of people. I think we're one of the few clubs in school that run overseas trips. Definitely the one that runs the longest overseas trips. Just come lah, good time. For
Let's
sure.
go.
Sumpah.
Mount Ophir seems fun also. I saw the Instagram stories. My roommate also went on one of your. He had a
Wait,
great
is
time.
it Matthew?
Blondie.
Oh, Matthew,
Oh, we
Matthew
love
is such a
Matthew.
cutie.
Oh, special place in our heart for Matthew.
Matthew's the
Shout out
best.
to
Shout out to Matthew. Matthew, we love you. And I also saw E-Rom stories.
Oh yeah, special place in our heart.
yeah.
for
Oh,
Matthew.
another special place in
He
our
was
heart.
also cute.
Definitely, I'll go and try mountaineering myself if I had the chance to as well.
We'll hold you to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
better come.
Okay.
There's evidence now.
Hey,
on camera.
Rinjani, next year, me, see you there.
Okay, next time Daniel, we can bring the production crew up and then you can carry the 20 kg bag plus all the camera crew go up.
No, you're gonna give me less gear, maybe.
Alright, but thanks so much for sharing, and definitely this is an amazing experience for all of you all and a lot of learning opportunities that many of us can potentially get in SUTD. So that's all we have for this episode of A Night Shift, and we'll see you
Bye.
in the next
Bye.
one.
Bye.
And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe into our channel. See all of you in the next video.
Next time on The Night Shift, we're taking a tour of Stickum, one of the startups hosted in SUTD.